All right, fish peeps. Biggs is pretty tired, he's not going to lie. We're at the ACA 50th convention. We're in Louisville, Kentucky for the Triple Crown. I'm standing outside in like the garbage area. The garbage cans are right here. And I'm doing this for a reason, because the minute I walk inside that door, it is so loud, it is so crazy. And I want to tell you guys, I was going to kind of give you a little bit of a tour, but I thought maybe we'll do something a little bit different, is we're going to go look at some of the individual classes, look at the individual groupings of fish, because there's actually 4 groups of people that are here. There's cichlid people, livebearer people, killifish people, and rainbow fish people. So I don't think there's any rainbow fish in the show, but each of the other 3 groups are well represented. So I thought we'd go take a peek. Now, as I mentioned, that I'm walking in the back door right now. I'm not even coming in the front. We've been here since the very beginning with all the setup and stuff, but it's absolutely chaos and stuff. As soon as we enter into the showroom, this is where it's going to get real noisy and stuff. So over there, we've got, these are all cichlids. That little back setup at the back there, that is all show tanks or sail tanks, rental tanks. This center row is all livebearers, and this one here is all killifish.
So the focus of today's video, as I mentioned, is going to be the killifish. I've been kind of a closet killifish keeper for decades. I find them absolutely fascinating fishes. This segment of the show was put on by the American Killifish Association, and killifish from all over the world were represented. So what are killifish, or simply killies for short? Killifish are a very large assemblage of fishes representing multiple families within the order Cyprinodontiformes. There's roughly 1,500 species that have already been described, and more than likely equal to that number have yet to be described, or have gone extinct, due primarily to habitat loss. As for distribution, killies can be found in both tropical and subtropical waters on every continent, with the only Australia and Antarctica being the exceptions. They may not be as well known in the mainstream aquarium trade, but killies are some absolutely incredible fish. Many have, as you can see, some incredible breathtaking colors and incredible breeding behaviors. They are generally smaller fishes, with most being in the 1-inch to 2-inch range. However, there are a few that can grow upwards of 6 inches, and we'll see some of those in the show. All killifish are predators. Yes, they're predators. And their primary diet consists of different forms of insect larvae and other diminutive invertebrates. All killifish as well are oviparous, or egg layers. Now, as I mentioned, one of the most fascinating aspects about killies is their breeding behaviors. And generally, killies can be separated into 3 loose groups. Those being annuals, semi-annuals, and non-annuals. Annuals are species that inhabit small temporary pools that dry up every year. These fishes have an incredible growth rate, as the fish have to hatch, grow to maturity, and reproduce to the best of their ability to ensure the continuation of the species. The eggs are laid in the soft mud and then go dormant until the next rainy season. They've even evolved an insurance policy that in the event of, say, a small freak rainstorm, only some of the eggs will hatch, but not all, to ensure their survival should the puddle dry up. This is called diapause. I believe it was actually National Geographic that put out an exceptional video. I believe it was something entitled along the lines of Life in an Elephant's Footprint. And it's truly a wonderful introduction to these incredible fishes if you should find it. Now, semi-annuals, like their relatives, the annuals, These species inhabit areas that may or may not dry up seasonally. And then in the case of non-annuals, they reside in permanent bodies of water. Now, as killifish have such an incredibly large geographic distribution, they also inhabit an incredibly diverse group of habitats. Shallow temporary pools, creeks, swamps, shallow streams. Some species are estuary species, preferring a brackish environment. Killies can be found from one extreme to the other. Water that is extremely acidic, stained dark brown from the tannins of all the abundant leaf litter, to incredibly alkaline, even soda-like lakes, as well as the aforementioned brackish water. So I think you get it. Incredibly beautiful fish. Fascinating breeding behaviors. And they are all definitely worth keeping. Now, killies, for the most part, are fairly easy, and as you can tell, very resilient fish to keep. Ideally, they should be maintained in pairs or loose groups in a species tank. And as you've noticed in most of these entries, you'll notice not only is the species, the genera, and the species noted, but also there's a bunch of different codes and so forth after it. That is incredibly important collection data. So as you understand that a lot of these species live in these small isolated areas, we want to make sure that each population maintains its biological integrity. Killies generally do not require a lot of space. And as you see in these shows, they don't even have filters in their tanks because they often come from small little stagnant pools. But the ideal, most preferred method of filtration for these, for long-term maintenance and health, is the use of a common sponge filter. Now, feeding killifish, that poses some different challenges, as generally most killies will only thrive on live foods. Mosquito larvae, brine shrimp, whiteworms. These are often the best choices of diet. However, many of them will also take frozen foods. I've maintained a fairly large collection of killies, primarily using frozen mosquito larvae, brine shrimp, as well as bloodworms. Now, the offspring, they're a little bit more challenging, and often most of us will rely on newly hatched brine shrimp as their first form of food. Microworms, vinegar eels, all things that are very, very easy to culture. Now, outside of a handful of killifish, these fish are generally not found in stores. So if interested, I would highly recommend joining an organization such as the American Killifish Association. This is a national organization with the aims of advancing knowledge, enjoyment, propagation, study, and most importantly, conservation of killifish worldwide. Now, if you're not in the United States or Canada, there is also organizations that are throughout the world, and there's also many regional groups. So as the global population of humans continues to rise, killifish are some of the absolute most threatened of the fish species. They live in very fragile environments. And unless we start taking some effort to conserve these fishes, I think these beautiful gems may soon disappear. So thank you, my friends. I hope you enjoyed today's video all about these incredible fish that were displayed at the ACA, aka ALA, Triple Crown. I think they're absolutely striking. Till next time, cheers.